Hi, beautiful people. I am jumping on here in the middle of my writing because, again, I could write pages and pages, and I'm not about to do that right now in my constant ongoing efforts of simplifying in areas of my life. Okay, so there's welcome to another video with me, Nora Finch. And I wanted to add something to my intro, especially for those of you who haven't listened to me before. 20 plus years in holistic wellness in my little smock here, different kinds of ones that I have that I don't always wear. Okay, so I integrated, so as a holistic esthetician, as I was studying and realizing mind, body, spirit connection were involved, especially when I noticed in people's skin different things going on, including acne and sun damage and all those sorts of things that you would not look at. Some people might not look at that any of that stuff as an internal cause. I know that can sound like really easy and simple and duh, but a lot of people don't put it together. And also birth control, different things like that, right, can people affect people's skin. So that's when I started learning about flower essences, vibrational medicine, and like I said, holistic health, energy healing, Reiki work. Then I integrated mental readiness coaching from self defense like 15 years later, mindset training, and kind of how this podcast came about, even though I've always been an activist for we the people, right? Okay, so what I wanted to put in here in the little bit of the intro, who knows that I will repeat this again in every episode, but basically, it was designed initially as a way, as a source, or to help others uh, learn, I guess, what it means to be personally empowered, even though that word is so overused. I don't like using it. I don't like cliche sayings, all of that, as some of you might know, the outside the box thinker in me. But basically, it was designed while I had guests and different things on there to talk about my journey and things like that, right? But it's also, I try to design it in a way and with the coaching to equip you with the tools of how to get to this place of personal empowerment, if it is for you. And that includes a life of freedom. So every day, maybe you listen to my stuff, but sometimes I could see how I could appear is that everything is cool. I've got it all handled in terms of my mindset and staying positive, which is false. It has become a lifestyle for me, but I do revert back to a lot of my old ways of thinking sometimes in the same loops. And it's like they say, another cliche or much used saying of the peeling back of the layers of the onion, and you keep finding more things. Here I am getting sidetracked. Okay, equipping you with the tools to find your personal truth to lead a more happy and fulfilling life. Now, I know I have said this before that happiness is fleeting, but I feel like I have more control of it now that I've learned I have control of it in the ways that I can control it. Meaning, if I know something's going to make me feel better, like going to that certain dance class or being with community, talking and laughing, I'm going to go there. Okay, I want more of that. And so I I feel like I have a good sense and grounding of that, while other moments I definitely know when I revert back and uh, probably accounts for my resting bitch face sometimes. So, what I wanted to talk about today, just kind of getting that out of the way, is that's what I hope to do is that showing now or helping you realize that we are influenced, if you haven't already realized, by our upbringings, and society continues to do it. We are influenced by so much. How do you discern between your thoughts and somebody else's? And I realized my thoughts were not my own individual until about 23. And that was actually exposing myself to just basically different types of people, right? That sounds simple. Like, okay, you grow, you go out there in the world, country to city girl, and everything that I've learned in the process. So sorry I had to mouth all of that to basically get into what I was more on a roll yesterday that I wanted to talk about this. I don't know how far I'm going to get with it, but I feel like when I get to the point very quickly so that you all can move on and say, right, what's the point? What's the example, Nora? What's the lesson? What's the takeaway? What's the thing I can do and integrate? Because I am hoping you can apply these sorts of things, because generally across the board, a lot of us have the same challenges and issues of the things we're going through. It's just different variety of different things, but each of us has our own personal lessons. And I don't know to tell you how many they are, but I could be very specific, and most of mine very specific, right, have to do with assertiveness and learning how much I was a people pleaser. And I could give you the big long list. I'm surprised I did not record that show. If I did it, it was years ago. It was a long list of basically comparing myself to when I was an introvert. And I will say it again, that being an introvert did not help me. So I can tell you, when I look back at it, okay, that's why I was like that, including being a third wheel. I had my two friends growing up. Well, okay, we'll just say like the two closest ones or whatever, the last 4 years of high school. And they were both very, I don't even want to say very loud people, but they were very dominating personalities when they were on to what they were on to, or you'd say talkative, and I was not. And so I felt very left out. And a lot of that is because I was shy. Simply because I was an introvert and I was shy, those things have held me back in life. And so I felt like a third wheel. So after I learned self defense, and I was like, hey, I actually know how to include myself. And in class, in drill training, or whatever we're doing, I could go up and actually have the balls to be like, again, it's so simple, people, but when you're shy, the whole, you want to partner with me, you have a partner, whatever it is, whatever I needed to do to go ahead and assert myself, and driving on the road. So all of these things that may seem very common, very duh to a person who's very confident and already has these skills, but I didn't. So I may appear or seem to be like one of those people that has always been like this, and I have not. And having my own business initially, I would say, is where it started, and developing social skills, and then just became more enhanced after self-defense. Okay, so getting into this today is you'll hear this if you listen to spiritual type of people talking about these sorts of deep issues of going in and looking at ourselves, is that coming from a place of fear or love. Those are the two emotions, I guess we would use it in this context, is that, and this is the example that I want to give you, is that I do feel like moving forward 2026, we are going to be hearing more, I want to say more rules, more restrictions on, not when I say rights, but also the way that we behave with each other, right? In humanity. So the example is in the work environment, it's going to cause us to make harder decisions, especially when they could involve job choices, and having to look at ourselves and question ourselves. I think it's a constant, ongoing, historical thing, is that, number one, are you going to speak up? Are you going to do shit? Are you going to do something or not? Right? Are you going to repress? Are you going to hold in? Are you going to be fearful to not take action in areas that maybe you should be, whether it's for yourself or for we, the people, right? And so a lot of us act, and I still do it too, out of fear. I'd like to say most of it is all out of love, but there is still fear and questioning myself, instead of knowing and understanding like what is right for me, what I feel like is of love. And I will give you an example. Like I said, all of these new rules and different things where we might be progressing in the good ways of preventing sexual harassment, and different things like that in the workplace. Well, my place might be a good example of like, what is that going to do if you start limiting how we interact with our clients in the wellness field, caregiving, anybody that's doing these things that's very intimate with people and bonding and relationship building and people that are end of their life, right? So whether it's senior community, whether it's I was going to say rest home, not a rest home, but I don't even want to call them nursing homes. I don't know what they call them now as far as like a facility, but basically, yeah, it used to be called nursing home, and I don't want to call them, but basically a care for facility for older people. And so with mental illness or whatever the thing is going on, is that these end of stages of their life where, the ones are remembering and building these relationships. And when you cut ties off, such as even touch therapy or giving that, to touch to people, is that what is it going to do to us if, when we are told that of any sort, like, not as might as well don't be nice. It's not like we're saying that. I think we're really used to customer service, sucking a lot of us, and just not a lot of people having compassion or empathy. We're used to those things. But what is it going to do to our souls when the next level is, oh, now you just can't do that at all anymore? Like, what is that going to do? Right. And so is it going to slowly kill us all inside? So soul injury or moral injury, whatever you would like to call it, that's another topic for, I'm sure, veterans, the ones who have done healing work, which is something I've always thought about, being commanded to do things. I've thought this since a teenager, being commanded to do things that they don't want to do outside their morals and ethics, whatever it is, right? Or us feeling like, I did a show on this, I don't know where it is now, feeling like we have to sell out and sell our souls and to get ahead. And it might not even be necessarily to make a lot of money. It's just that you feel like you have to do certain things because of society's recognition. For example, it could be the sex sells. It could be, in my industry, or facials or hair or whatever, the fame, recognition of just, and it's like a celebrity contest, or I'm sorry, popularity contest, because it's like, that's how it happens, right? In this industry, to flourish, you have to do XYZ. You have to work in, maybe it is a medical office to have consistency. You have to work in certain environments to help the success, though, of yourself, or have multiple jobs, is what I've realized. So, and it doesn't mean we can't be successful people, those of us that aren't following maybe trends. Or I know that when I was still in Sacramento doing things, is that when there was a trend, it was right, it becomes popular, and that is a way to kind of get you more business. But if you didn't do those things, right, you may be a lot more slower. There's lots of things I could talk about that I haven't talked about within my industry and being a black sheep. And you'd wonder that I ever was able to sell anything, including skincare and waxing. But I always was able to find a way to navigate through that stuff. And being honest and being of integrity and being of who I am. So now I look at it like a joke, or I can use it as a joke, right? To be like, is this a gimmick? What's going on? Does that even, you're full of shit right there. Like, people would be like, oh, put this on your face or whatever. You see what it's doing? Like, that's such a loaded, just like BS, just like things that make people feel like, I feel like it's like a dirt bag, like a douchebag salesperson, like just trying to do that to make the sale, when I could still do the sale, but do it differently and probably recommend better stuff. That's why people, this is a joke for me, would be a joke for me to talk about. being in my industry and who I am, when probably other people, coworkers or whatever, are looking at me like, oh my God, why are you saying that? Even if they agree with me, right? So I'm getting off track here, but let's go ahead and I'm going to end this little clip in basically helping you kind of give you some suggestions of how you would talk to yourself in these very hard, I look at them as hard decisions. They can be. Just because, like I said, power and control, the pandemic was a great time. While there were many instances in history that I don't even know, would not even label a name, but I know that they have to do with control and power, is that the pandemic with the vaccines and all of that sort of stuff, and trying to force people and take away just certain freedoms or whatever it is, right? If you don't do this, this is what's going to happen. And people have lost or left their careers. And I remember listening to one show or two in particular about particularly firefighters who have the entire life, most of their career, 20 years, and their retirement and just all of that jeopardizing, I'm sure, clear of them. Some of them, I don't even know all the myriad of stories, like what happened with their retirement, things like that, but ended up leaving their job. So they made the choice. So looking at, it's like any relationship, people. If you're fearful of leaving because you think it's like the only one or the only job, or looking at all of the time and energy and training and everything you've done in your careers to leave it all, like that is not an easy decision. And so being able to ask these questions to yourself, if anything, maybe it's going to coach you to actually make the decision to do something different, right? It's just way too much for you. Like when you break it down, what is being asked of you is not what you want moving forward in your life. And so you're willing, you have other skills, right? Just like if the relationship is important to you, that you want that whole scene, right? Because relationship is another level of commitment. And but I'm still kind of just trying to relate it to you together, is that there will always, don't be in fear of like, there isn't another job, there isn't another person, there isn't this and that and the other. Okay. And maybe you need to plan and prepare a little bit more, which is also why I highly agree having multiple skills, right? When it comes to job stuff. And plus, I feel like in general, there is no job or relationship that is a guarantee. It's all a risk because you aren't promised tomorrow, right? So maybe you're not in that place to really view it like that. But back in the day, it really kind of, you didn't really hear of anybody saying, not that my dad ever coached me really at all, of like developing multiple skills. Maybe you're going to want to do that for a while and change your mind. I mean, he got laid off at 55, and I think he did try to get other jobs, but he just left it and ended up traveling, to Asia and stuff like that, and living on his $1,500 or whatever it was pension. But he didn't plan on that, so just to give you an example there. So I want you to ask yourself some questions. Journal on this, people. Don't just listen to me run my mouth, because as you also write, as you're asking and you're writing these things, you will get information from just yourself. It's called direct writing. But if you want to say God or source or the divine, whatever spiritually inside, when you go to yourself, whoever you are listening to, when you write, I'm telling you, you're going to get answers. Okay. And so for yourself, so what are you willing to compromise? Are you willing to go against your ethics and morals? And if you decide to do that, you will see what happens, people, how it feels inside of your body to do something that is so against your spirit and your soul, like going against, it's not a going against the grain. I'm all about going against the grain and being outside the box, but getting, and see, I'm just already going on to thinking of how creative you could get once you start writing on this stuff, because when you asking about going to ethics and morals, like it'll start, that would be the next question, right? What are those? Do you know what your ethics and morals are? Do you even know like what that means? Especially if there was no structure growing up for you, like what the hell does that mean? And so it really helps you expand your mind. Okay. And then this is the whole, I mean, you have a family or you have other people to support. This is the time. And I think that's one of the biggest things for all of us. And even with my self-care practices to community and services in the world and clients, it's kind of like, what are we, now I'm losing my train of thought. Okay, going into ethics, morals, compromising. I was going to go more so deeper with that, but just questioning yourself and asking you like your ethics and morals. How meaningful that they are to you? What are you willing to compromise on and not compromise on? And what are some different things that you could do? Maybe I'm sorry. Okay, I got it. Patience. A lot of times it's just patience through the whatever the thing is. I'm going to give you an example. Since I believe and know that facial massage, I find that it's a lost art. When I'm massaging and I'm laughing because it can be so romantic, that as I'm working and using my Reiki at the same time, is that I'm like, all that's taking are these slow movements, and I'm putting my love and my energy and my care into my work and also making the person feel good. Right. So when you talk about people teaching somebody else, I'm going to give the example. I think I did post this clip of Jacob Johnson. Excuse me. I think he's still chief firefighter in Texas. Is that, I think he's chief, sorry if I got this wrong. He's basically mentoring his crew after he realized in this certain, from his life lessons, like how to mentor them specifically, like the way that he does it, right? And we are talking about paying attention, basically asking about people paying attention and basically the patience to teach them. Right? So us just taking the time, much like listening to others, us taking the time, me being patient with my massaging, me just making that, what do you call it, part of my routine. It's not my routine, that's just how I work. Is that it's the little things, like I am not willing, even if I were to end the facial really quickly and I didn't get to do or give what I wanted to give in that session, I will still actually go and apologize and tell them, like, I'm so sorry I didn't get to do that as long as I did because, we had to do extractions or something, getting blackheads out of their nose, which is always really fun and rewarding. So let's go ahead and end there. I think I went about like almost 10 minutes after I said I was going to end. But basically, to recap, people, this is about choosing to live from fear or love. If you decide in staying in these situations, like I'm going to say, of fear, just now when it comes to your attention that what I mean by this. And so the more we are from love and feel more free to be who we are, we will be happier. I can guarantee you that, even though all of this is perception, right? You have to go in and try it for yourself and see what you think. So I hope this made sense in at least helping you maybe get some questions going with yourself to find your own truth and what works for you. And lots of people advise out there with these hard decisions. Ultimately, though, it's up to us, right? So I'll meet you in the next video. I hope this provided some useful information for you, and I will continue to add to my coaching examples playlist and we will go from there, and more on that later next time. Okay, thanks for listening. Bye.